Tonight, dead body. A man linked to the murder of Emily Ogden. And Stage 3, Dawson Creek is moving up in water conservation measures. And emergency room, Northern Health considering changes to be temporary. Welcome back. We begin tonight with the death of Dawson Creek, man linked to the murder of Emily Ogden. The man in question, sources tell CJDC-TV News, it's Aaron Linklater. Sources say Linklater's body was found at his home on 107th Avenue. The Dawson Creek RCMP says Linklater hadn't been seen in a number of days. In April, sources say Ogden's body was discovered in a vehicle belonging to Linklater. However, it is believed that he reported the vehicle stolen. Linklater was one of two suspects brought in for questioning at the time, but they were both released without being charged. Sources also say Linklater's death is not considered to be suspicious. The city of Dawson Creek is moving into Stage 3 of water conservation measures starting on Thursday. City officials say residents must only use a hose with an automatic shut-off nozzle for any action requiring a hose. They say sprinklers are not permitted and residents cannot fill or refill garden ponds, fountains, private hot tubs, or swimming pools. Residents are only allowed to water their lawn at certain times depending on their address. The city also says bulk water cannot be hauled for fracking. City officials say these measures are put in place because the city's current water source, the Kiskatena River, is experiencing an unprecedented drought. They say the city has water stored for upwards of 150 days, but water consumption must be reduced to make it through the winter months. To an update on Northern Health's decision to change after-hours coverage at the Tumbler Ridge Health Center Emergency Department. Northern Health posted on social media it's now considering changes to be temporary. The health authority says it knows the community is concerned. It will continue to work to increase BC ambulance coverage, quicker response time, and to recruit and retain healthcare workers more efficiently. Northern Health says Tumbler Ridge averages less than 5 after-hour calls a week, adding that a majority don't require emergency hospital care. It says the new model was designed to support and retain current staff without an added burden of overnight call coverage. The health authority continues to listen to the community and is working to make further improvements. There is pushback tonight from BC's Filipino community over comments Premier David Eby made about temporary foreign workers. As CTV's Brendan Strain reports, they say they're feeling betrayed, and without those workers, some business will struggle to stay open.
What we are seeing is politics being played out over policy.
Restaurants Canada, a national advocacy group that represents the food service industry, is calling out Premier David Eby after these words last week, taking aim at the temporary foreign worker program.
That program needs to be either reformed significantly or cancelled.
He went on to say that temporary foreign workers are flocking to food banks and homeless shelters.
Young people are facing challenges getting into the employment market.
The president of Restaurants Canada says the food service industry is where many young people begin their working careers, and her stats don't align with the premier's.
Temporary foreign workers make up 3% of the food service workforce nationally, and they make up 1% of the total workforce in British Columbia.
We actually feel betrayed.
There's a heavy cloud over Victoria's Philippine Bayanihan Cultural Center today. Roughly 5,000 temporary foreign workers rely on the center for community, and many are now questioning what their futures will be after working so hard to build life in Canada.
Because when they go back, what's going to happen to them? They don't have a house, they don't have a job, and where are they going to be? So they have to start again all over.
The president of the Cultural Center says many of those TFWs are filling gaps in Victoria's workforce, including the service industry, retail, and home healthcare. Sectors that are on the lower side of the pay scale. Industries that business owners struggle to find workers for.
Industry in here will be crushed, right?
If the program was to be scrapped, it would be up to the federal government to make that call. The Filipino community says if that happens, those that are already here should be allowed to stay.
They are qualified, they should be able to stay in Canada, and that's what they should do.
For now, much of the political speak has many concerned, including those in the restaurant industry, who say temporary foreign workers are keeping Canada's economy afloat. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
A major development today in a case that shocked British Columbians and made international headlines. A judge says the suspect in the Vancouver Lapu Lapu Day Festival attack is mentally fit to stand trial for murder. Adam K.G. Lowe is charged with 11 counts of second-degree murder and now an additional 31 counts of attempted murder over the April 26 attack in which a SUV plowed through a crowded street. The reasons behind the judge's decision cannot be immediately broadcast because of a publication ban. A group of media organizations, including CTV News, has challenged the publication ban. The judge's ruling on that application is expected tomorrow. A psychiatric patient facing aggravated assault charges has taken the stand in his own trial to explain why he stabbed 3 people at a festival in Chinatown 2 years ago. A warning, some of the details may be disturbing. Blair Donnelly's defense team says while he's admitted to the stabbing, his state of mind will be the central issue. The 66-year-old told the court he believed it was his deep religious faith that led him to carry out the attacks. Donnelly was on a day pass from the Colony Farm Psychiatric Facility where he's been held since killing his daughter in 2006. Donnelly said his plan was originally to go to a coffee shop in Coquitlam, but shortly after he left the facility on his e-bike, he was prompted by God to go to Chinatown. He eventually stabbed 2 women and 1 man. He's pled not guilty to 3 counts of aggravated assault. Are you protected by insurance if life gets in the way? A new survey suggests half of British Columbians aren't. The numbers come from a new report from Angus Reid and Policy Me. It says 50% of people in BC don't have life insurance or aren't sure if they do, the highest level in the country. Of those, 34% say it's too expensive, while 27% say they don't need it. And it doesn't look much will change in the near future. 71% of uninsured British Columbians say they have no plans to buy life insurance in the next 5 years. We're learning more today about the big targets the Prime Minister is hoping to deliver as questions remain about how Mark Carney will pay for the promises. He's saying the upcoming federal budget will focus on cutting spending with new investment in key areas. All this as Carney tries to distance himself from Justin Trudeau and bolster Western relations. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the latest.
Politics is like hockey. It doesn't build character, it reveals it.
More than a few hockey references in the Prime Minister's speech to caucus about fall priorities delivered in his hometown. Mark Carney referenced a budget with tough decisions. There are big questions about how he'll pay for big investments while spending less and which Trudeau government commitments he'll keep.
This fall, we will release a new climate competitiveness strategy that focuses on results over objectives and investments over prohibitions. Third, we will remain relentlessly focused on bringing down costs for Canadians.
Backsliding on our commitments around climate, if you read values, it'll be a very odd thing for us to do.
Carney said the first major projects list will be announced tomorrow. Radio-Canada is reporting no pipelines will be on it.
No one should take any lesson from the first list of projects that this is the end.
What the Liberals need to do in order to actually allow major projects to move forward is repeal C-69, repeal C-48, lift the production cap, remove the policies that they put in place that block these projects from moving forward.
Those signs point to a thawing of relations between Ottawa and Western Canada, strained in the Trudeau years.
I think there's even a thawing of tone in Danielle Smith, but she's still making a number of demands that frankly can't all be met.
The Prime Minister ends his day meeting with Premier Smith here in Alberta's capital. The pro-pipeline Premier has said she'll be pushing for action on what she calls 9 bad laws that hurt the province's economy.
And Alberta teachers have set a strike date if a negotiated settlement isn't reached through bargaining.
Teachers are tired of Band-Aid fixes. Public education is in a crisis. Students are being shortchanged and our teachers are being pushed to the brink.
The Alberta Teachers Association announced they will take job action on October 6th. The timeline is meant to give families time to prepare if classrooms are closed. Negotiations on a new collective agreement stalled last week. Teachers have asked for wage increases and more support for growing class sizes. The province has offered a 12% increase over 4 years. There used to be a time when a relationship ran its course. A face-to-face conversation was the only acceptable way to part ways. But there's a shift, and if you ask younger people, it's not something to get too hung up on. CTV's Andrew Johnson explains.
Canadians, both young and old, can be guilty of it, spending a lot of time with their head buried in their phone.
Conversations are now lost because people are doing this instead.
But a new online poll of 1,000 people is defining a difference in what those growing up with this technology and those adopting it later in life think is appropriate. Take ending a relationship. If we know this is the wrong way...
Berger broke up with me on a Post-it.
On a Post-it?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me.
It may be somewhat concerning 29% of Canadians aged 18 to 34, so Gen Z and millennials, prefer to break up with someone over the phone, a text, email, or on an app, compared to just 14% of people aged 55 plus.
Those were the two biggest surprises of the survey, just how much the younger generation, people aged 18 to 34, are turning to online tools for everything, for breaking up with people, for quitting a job.
When it comes to making phone calls, another divide. 58% of the younger crowd report having to phone someone they don't know makes them anxious. Just 35% of the eldest cohort in the survey feels the same way.
Does that make you anxious to phone someone you don't know?
Yeah, I literally avoid doing that.
I got no problem making a phone call, especially if I'm trying to get something done.
How about ordering food? 59% of 18 to 34s use an app, so do 51% of those aged 35 to 54. But for those born in 1970 or earlier, only 32%, with the majority still loyal to a good old-fashioned phone call or going in person.
There's that element of discussing something with another human being. The over 55 wants to have a detailed discussion about the topics of their pizza.
One expert calls it the great oxymoron of our time.
Despite the fact that this technology is remarkably able to connect us, to bring us together, at the same time, it is also disconnecting us. It's isolating us.
And leaving us walking around like this. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Canada is promising to stand with Poland after a serious escalation in Eastern Europe. Russian drones shot down after entering Polish airspace. CTV's Mike Lecuteur has more on the incident.
Poland's prime minister said today his country is the closest it has been to open conflict since the Second World War. Residents of an eastern Poland village describe hearing the roar of a plane falling from the sky, and then a massive boom shook their home. The house was destroyed, he said. The remnants of a suspected Russian drone remain in his yard as Polish authorities search several other sites where drones were found. Moscow claims there were no plans to target Poland. Many of them were shot down with the help of NATO allies, and talks between member countries were quickly called under an Article 4 consultation. Prime Minister Donald Tusk praised the quick response of allies, but pointed out this changes the political situation. In a post on social media, U.S. President Donald Trump said, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." After a NATO meeting, the Secretary General said a full assessment of the incident is ongoing.
Allies expressed solidarity with Poland and denounced Russia's reckless behavior.
While rallying support for Poland in the European Parliament, Ursula von der Leyen told lawmakers the EU is now working on a 19th package of sanctions against Russia.
We're particularly looking at phasing out Russian fossil fuels faster. We're looking at the shadow fleet and at third countries.
Russia's defense ministry says it had not targeted Poland, but Prime Minister Tusk says there were 19 breaches of Polish airspace. And Canada's defense minister is casting doubt on the Kremlin's explanation.
I don't think we can take a lot of what comes from Russia right now at face value.
McGuinty wouldn't say if Canada will deploy more resources to the region, but Germany's foreign minister said NATO stands united and there must be a response to Russia's actions. Mike Lecuteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back with weather.